Hello, welcome to this week's Hormone Chat. I'm Dr. Lisa Brown. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel so you are updated when new videos are uploaded. If you're watching this on our Facebook stream, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you invite a friend over to the group. Basically, the message is the more the merrier. Grab onto our content, share it with others. We all have those hormonal friends who probably also need support along their perimenopause journey. So today we're going to talk about libido because this is or was Valentine's Day week. And I noticed that as this day was approaching, several of my one-on-one clients were like, they were dreading it, and they were saying things like, well, my husband always wants sex on Valentine's Day, or like, I feel like I need to have sex with him on Valentine's Day. And so it just became really apparent that Valentine's Day is, obviously one of those obligatory days, right? Where it's like, if you're not having a lot of sex in your marriage, and Valentine's Day or his birthday or Christmas or anniversary or whatever special day it may be comes up, and maybe you have an amazing spouse and you really want to show up for them in that way, but you are just not into it. So there's a lot of reasons that might be the case with you, but perimenopause is definitely one of those reasons. It's on the list. So a common thing, and another common thing that I hear is like, okay, well, I used to have a great libido in my 30s, right? And then my 40s came and it just vanished. What is that? Is that my hormones? Is it stress? Is it, something else? And the answer is yes, it could be all of those things. But again, if you previously had an awesome libido and now all of a sudden you don't, and you're in this perimenopausal window, yes, I would say your hormones are definitely at least one of the factors involved. What else is involved? Well, there's things like our emotional and our mental health and well-being. And that includes things like body image. How are we feeling about ourselves? How do we feel in our own skin? We're not very likely to want to be intimate with our spouse or our partner if we don't feel good about ourselves, or if we're struggling with depression or severe anxiety. Those factors. Sleep is a huge one. And this one's kind of like, what's the chicken, what's the egg, right? Because if you're not sleeping, you're physically going to be tired during the day. So you're not going to physically have the energy to want to have sex. You're probably going to be more short-tempered and irritable because you didn't get a good night's sleep, right? And then it's like, well, why am I not sleeping well? Is it because I'm in perimenopause and my hormones are changing? So is it that my hormones are causing my poor sleep, which is causing my low libido, or my hormones are directly causing my low libido? So you see, it's all interwoven. And again, the answer is all of the above. Your changing hormones in perimenopause impact libido through numerous mechanisms. Impacting your sleep, your hormones impact your moods, all of that impacts libido, and so on and so forth. So I hope this emphasizes the point that libido is not something that you can just kind of find a hole and plug the hole and expect it to be fixed. There's multiple factors involved, so it takes a multifaceted approach to boosting your libido. There's also your physical health. Are you suffering with any chronic or long-term health conditions? Maybe the health conditions or even injuries that you're suffering with are impacting your libido, or the medications that you're on to treat different health conditions are impacting your libido. Mentioning medications, some of you are probably wondering, well, what? It's actually more, the two main medications that come to mind as impacting libido are birth control, which is used to be less of an issue for women in perimenopause. These days, we are definitely seeing a lot more women in their 40s and even into their 50s who are still on birth control. And birth control is a huge contributor to lowering your libido. Another medication a group of medications that is notorious for this is antidepressants. And antidepressants are very heavily prescribed to women in their 40s and 50s, right? So again, is it my changing hormones that are impacting libido? Is it maybe a medication that I'm on? What is it? Um, but yes, hormones are definitely a factor. So we're going to talk more about that. And then, at the core of it all, underlying all of these other issues, there is like the major elephant in the room, which is a huge lack of education and a lack of understanding amongst society about what libido is. So, what is it? Okay. So, libido technically is defined as your lust or your desire for physical intimacy with someone. Some references also say that libido involves also includes the tingling sensation that you might experience when thinking about someone or when aroused, right? But we are not really taught anything about libido and what factors play a role in it. We're not taught much about sex other than the form of sex to reproduce. We're taught there's a penis and a vagina and they go together and you make a baby, and that's basically it, right? But as you move into your 40s and beyond that, we're not in this game to reproduce anymore. And that's absolutely okay. There is still a whole world of sex beyond that reproduction window that you can still enjoy after that phase of life. Okay, so there's a lack of understanding. Again, we think X plus Y equals Z, and if we don't meet that equation, or if we don't enjoy that penis plus vagina equation, then we think something's wrong with us, right? And we just think, okay, well, we don't enjoy sex. I'm not into sex. I don't need that. Whatever. It just doesn't do it for me. When again, there's so much more to it that we can potentially explore. But when we are talking about hormones, the two main hormones that are involved in libido are estrogen and testosterone. And now we know, because we've talked about this, your estrogen is doing kind of like a roller coaster type dance in perimenopause. It goes up, it goes down, it goes all around. We do what we can, right? With my one-on-one clients and our group programs, we do everything that we can to stabilize the roller coaster and make it more of like a woo instead of a woo roller coaster, if we go with that analogy. So the ways that estrogen is mostly involved with libido are vaginal lubrication, right? It's very helpful with just moisture, tissue rejuvenation in general across the board. Definitely applies to our vaginal tissue, right? And then it also helps enhance blood flow to the area, which helps you actually achieve climax easier. Okay, so at a time when your estrogen is fluctuating, it kind of, makes sense to think that vaginal dryness becomes an issue, and that women who, maybe totally knew exactly how they could climax was no problem before, start to struggle in those departments. And then testosterone, our other main libido hormone, that one probably makes, you're probably less surprised about that one. Testosterone is what we consider a male type hormone or an androgen. Men have a lot more testosterone than women, but we still absolutely need it, just like men. And one of the reasons for that is for libido. Testosterone definitely does play a role in our libido, or just enhancing that desire, that drive. Now, that being said, I come from a world of bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, where we did a ton of that. And I'll say that, I used to talk to women and it was very apparent, and I'll share it with you, that, women will start testosterone hoping that that's going to be just like the magic trick and their libido just zoop, and that fixes everything. And I would say every great once in a while that happens, but typically no. Typically it's like, yeah, no, it helped my libido. I think it helped a little bit. I'm still not great. That's what we hear a lot of for women who start testosterone replacement. Or in the women who are like, yes, no, I mean, I felt like I was 20 years old again. Like, those women often have a libido boost in the beginning, and then it kind of evens out, and then they're stuck in the same boat, and maybe they're even worse off because their testosterone got so high. Maybe they've developed some acne, now they're irritable, they've got some facial hair, some other things going on. So it's just not the magic pill that we want. Can it be a piece of the puzzle? Absolutely. Do I work with women on testosterone replacement? Absolutely. But it's typically not, the kind of end all be all, because there's so many other factors involved. There is even other hormones involved. And so I want to touch on those briefly. These are some of our less commonly discussed hormones, but dopamine is involved with libido. Our endorphins are involved, serotonin, oxytocin. Those are 4 other types of hormones that are involved with libido. And so we tend to think that we are just created to desire sex, and it should be like how we crave water, right? Or how we get hungry. Like, that should just be an innate physiological desire, and it's not. It's just not. Yes, we are designed to procreate, sure, but it just doesn't work that way as far as having that desire, right? Because it's not, I'm sorry, as far as having that physiological need, or that I must have it. Libido works based off of a reward system, right? It works off of more of this dopamine system, meaning that the more you experience intimacy and you get that hit of dopamine and those endorphins, that hit of serotonin and oxytocin, which we'll talk more about in a minute, the differences between those. But when you get that hit, that's a reward, and that makes you want more of it. So basically, the more you have sex, the more you want it. The less you have it, if you're not having it, if you're in a sexless marriage, then it's easy to fall into that hole of, I just don't like sex. It's just not, I'm not a touchy person. It's just not for me, right? Because we're not triggering that, we're not getting that dopamine endorphin hit. So with these different types of hormones that are also referred to as neurotransmitters, so the dopamine and endorphins, those are more of your kind of immediate hit, like in the beginning when you first start your relationship and you're like, you can't keep your hands off of each other, it's that thrill, it's that excitement. That does, as you have, likely experienced, that does tend to subside over time. And those other hormones that I lumped into that category, the serotonin and the oxytocin, those really start to take over, right? So serotonin is one of our happy hormones, our feel-good hormones. It helps regulate mood. And oxytocin is our love or connection hormone. Oxytocin is what's released when your infant is nursing, because it helps facilitate that bonding. Oxytocin is also released from our brain during sex, after sex, because it's helping us form that bond, that connection. So as you are in a relationship longer, the dopamine, the endorphins, those hormones start to subside as we build the strength of our oxytocin, our serotonin, and those more loving connection type hormones. All right, so libido is based off of a reward system, and that's really important to remember, because I think it's really easy to fall into that trap of like, yeah, just, we don't have sex because now I just don't want it anymore. But there's a reason for that. There is an actual innate reason for that. So, okay, circling back to some of these other factors that we had here. So emotional health, mental health, sleep, hormones are definitely connected to those things as well. So what are some things that you can do now for your libido? Well, hormones are a great starting point because they're a piece of that puzzle. And when we work on your hormones, we actually don't look at it starting off with libido, right? The approach that we take to helping you both boost your libido in our coaching programs is we focus on you first, right? We focus on your nutrition, stabilizing your hormones, helping you get better sleep, get better rest. Then we look into your partner, your relationship with your partner. We delve into communication. Um, the communication piece, a lot of that goes back to just society and the way that we were taught or that we were not taught about sex, right? We're not taught to communicate with our partner or talk about what we want. They're not taught to ask what we like. It's really just a lose-lose, for both parties when it comes to a lack of communication. So we work on you first, then we work on communication, transparency, honesty. And I think the thing that really helps with that is just knowing that you're not alone out there. We don't talk about it nearly as much as we should, which hopefully we are taking one small step today here in this moment to change that narrative, and to start talking about libido more, because it's a real thing. And again, when you're in perimenopause, which is typically in your 40s, all of these factors are just compounding, right? And we buy a supplement because we saw an ad on Facebook that says, this will fix your libido. So we buy that. That doesn't work. Or maybe we never really even take it, but we just think that doesn't work. You know what I mean? We're just kind of throwing these different things at libido. My best advice to you is just really to start on some of those core issues with you. Not even think about libido directly in the beginning, and then just watch how those other things fall into place. So your relationship, resources. There's a lot of really great resources out there. One that I like right now that I'm following is called Kingdom Sexuality. They have a podcast called Kingdom Sexuality. You can also follow them, that same title, on Instagram. Another one I'm really liking right now is Dr. Jordan Wiggins, Wiggins. She is a naturopath who focuses specifically on libido, and through her as well, she has a podcast, an Instagram. I'm not sure about a Facebook, but so through either of those places, you can get kind of some soft landing places as far as where to learn more. And then let's keep talking about this. Shoot me an email, reach out to me on social media if something resonated with you from this video, or let me know what questions you have so that we can continue and learning and growing together. Thank you all. I hope you have a wonderful day.